Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here to talk about Mr. Robot, Season 3, Episode 8. Don't Delete Me.
Yes.
Awesome. And you are recovering from an illness.
I am.
So you're fully recovered and able to talk about Mr. Robot.
No.
Okay, good. But you're here anyway.
Yes, that's right.
All right, cool.
Braving sickness.
Oh, good.
There you go.
Awesome. We'll do our own version of Mr. Robot where we'll be on the opposite ends of the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Just in honor of this episode, since it brought Back to the Future yet again, I got my DeLorean. I got this actually from my wife. I requested a time machine, and she got me... Oh, yeah. Anyway, here we go. Back to the Future. Interestingly, one of our viewers, Sebastian, pointed out after in Kill Process, if you remember a couple episodes ago, it did a flashback. Angela is watching the animated Back to the Future.
Oh,
but Sebastian pointed out that it's also there was a reference to it back in the first season as well.
Oh.
So it's been a kind of a constant little thing, and in this episode it comes back big time again.
Yes. Now, anybody who is either A, saying that those complete morons, it's so clear that they're going to do a time travel thing, well, that's just more episodes, more evidence to call us morons. And I certainly feel like, maybe it's going up 30% that this could happen.
I don't think they're doing the time. All right, we'll talk about it. But okay, so real quick, let's do a recap. It's a short recap because
sure, yeah,
you can kind of sum it up. Whereas
Elliot wants to kill himself, Elliot then doesn't want to kill himself.
Got it.
That's the whole.
Okay. But so Elliot was more or less gone from the previous episode with the little intro in the beginning.
Yes.
So this one is pretty much all Elliot all the time.
Elliot,
24/7. He it's decided he's suicidal, and this. Brother of Trenton's brother shows up, and through their talking, basically Elliot decides not to commit suicide and to rededicate his life, kind of get his life back on track. And for instance, at the end when he threatens Mobley's brother with like, "Hey, if you don't get him a funeral, I'm gonna spill the beans on this." Because he's hacking for good, hacking for justice, which is we saw him do in episode 1, season 1. So he's kind of back to the hacking for justice, and also he gets that email we mentioned in the last episode. Trenton probably sent out this email. Well, okay, he got it, so she sent it to Elliot. And I did read the email. Interestingly, at the very end of that email, it mentioned something about the files needed to undo the 5/9 hack.
Oh, yeah.
Are the FBI probably has them. That's what it says. So we might be seeing a hack the FBI scenario coming.
Yeah, don't just go and talk to them.
Which maybe Darlene's connection to the FBI. We'll see. Anyways, coming back around to that. So yes, it was. Again, Rami Malek just knocks it out of the park. He's a very effective actor. Yes. This part seems either it seems born for him, or he's born for it, or he's just really good at transforming himself.
It's hard to imagine anyone else in the role. Which is, of course, a testament to any actor.
Done amazingly well at this. All right, so let's jump in. We open actually, I think, with another incredibly important flashback.
Yes.
They've been giving us awesome origin type story flashbacks in the recent past.
Yeah, well, it took me a while to notice that his arm was in a sling.
Yes, well, because they mentioned it in the last week previously on. They show the thing about my dad pushed me out the window and broke my arm.
Yeah.
So this is what's happening is we assume this is real and not maybe like.
Sure.
A fancy memory of this thing. It felt like this is a real thing.
I mean, why would this
is
be
how it happened.
any differently than the other memories we've seen?
Right. So what we've got is shortly after Christian Slater breaks young Elliot's arm.
Yes.
He takes him, as feeling guilty, he takes him out to the movies.
Yep.
To go see Shallow Grave with his son. Interesting choice. Anyway, so it's obviously a come on, please forgive me moment, and Elliot's having none of it. young Elliot's. In fact, there's that really like ouch moment when the dad's like, "So I just hope you can forgive me one day, sometime. Is that possible?" Just like not even now. I'm not saying now.
It doesn't have to be now.
One time, somewhere in the future. Nope. No.
Yeah.
And that more or less, I mean, metaphorically, it kills his dad.
Yeah.
His dad's like, I guess you're right. We shouldn't go to the movies. And and he drops, I think, dead.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not moving. It could have been a cardiac arrest, and he comes back later, maybe. But it seems like the implication is he's dead.
Yeah, that's the implication.
Like that was the moment he died.
Yep.
Was at the movie theater, trying to take young Elliot to the movies as a guilt trip thing for himself. Anyway, so he dies. Elliot takes the Mr. Robot jacket.
Yes.
Goes into a movie. We're not sure which movie it is, but no one's in it. There's one guy in the back, so it's not a popular one. Jerky Boys. There was another possibility he could have gone to that one. And he's got the Babe. I assume that's Babe, not Pig in the City, but the original Babe is the movie posters behind it.
Oh, okay.
But
I didn't see that.
He puts the jacket on.
Yes.
And this could be the moment. I don't know when Mr. Robot, the personality, takes over.
You say that because?
Well, because
he starts talking to
nobody.
Yeah.
He's like, "Shh, the movie's about to start."
Yeah.
And then they do a pretty cool credit sequence.
Yes.
Where they make it seem like it is
the movie he's watching.
Yeah. Mr. Robot. So so that could have been the origin of this alter ego. We see what happened at the moment that Mr. Robot, the person, died.
Oh, his father died.
His father died. Wow. I mean, that was a lot of origin story stuff right there. It's pretty important. One thing that I took as a metaphor, and I could be totally reading into this, and I do that. So, yeah. But, there's the bit where young Elliot's got the thing of popcorn.
Yes.
And Christian Slater's like, "No, put these M&Ms in here like we always do."
Right.
And there's kind of that, like, you could tell young Elliot doesn't really want to, but he's like, "Okay, fine." It's probably more of the, I don't want to be at this movie.
Yeah,
Dad.
I think so. I mean, I feel like it's part of a ritual for
right.
them.
And then he shakes it up.
Yes.
And so you can't really distinguish the M&Ms from the popcorn.
Right.
I kind of feel like that's also, let's say the metaphor is Elliot's brain is the popcorn tub, and he's now put his dad into that mix, and he's mixed it up. So he can't tell where Mr. Robot is and where he is. No? Yeah?
I didn't think you were going to go there.
Okay.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
That's what I got out of it. Anyway, so.
That popcorn tub is like Elliot's brain.
Yeah. But I notice he can't get, it's like, I can't pick out the Mr. Robots anymore because they're all in there. Okay. All right.
I mean, you threw a whole, like he didn't want it to happen, which, I just felt it was, he didn't.
Yeah, he didn't want to be there.
He didn't want to be there.
He didn't want to be there.
He was like, you want to do this thing that's so cute or whatever? You think I'm going to fall in love with that? No, sorry.
Yeah, no. I can't ever forgive you. Yeah. Now, will he ever forgive his dad? Do you think that's going to change?
I mean, that
could be an arc.
He's an aide. Yeah, I mean, traditionally for this type of situation, there's a point where somebody who has sort of personalities has to come to resolution, some sort of agreement or integrate.
The hero has to, especially when it comes to like father issues, they usually have to like somehow.
Right, but just like Sybil, where she had all those personalities, and then she had to eventually meet them and sort of figure out a way to come to terms with them. So,
all right, so
that might be part of it, or he has to forgive his father.
Yeah. I think that could be a forgiveness moment coming. It's maybe not this season, but
as a closure or something.
So we've got a suicidal Elliot.
And sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah, go ahead.
Also, too, I mean, he even said more explicitly, even though we've seen it, telling Darlene later on that I can't stop it. I can't get rid of him. I'm,
Yeah, no.
So I've done everything. I've done what I can.
And even then goes further in that to say, and I like it.
Yeah,
like, it is
like
me.
it. Yep.
It's not that it's just, I'm blaming this other guy, but really it's me.
Yeah, so that might be part where it's like, maybe it's just some elaborate thing to sort of divorce himself from what he's actually doing, and that's what he really has to do, is just to say, no, that's a side of me. Maybe.
Right, maybe. So his sister intuitively gets the idea that, he's probably suicidal. I think that's why she wants to hang out with him. She's worried that if she leaves him alone, something bad's going to happen. And so he puts her off with this, well, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Why don't you come back tomorrow? We'll watch that movie and the old times. And she accepts it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's basically giving himself a day. He's like, just give me some time to kill myself. And then we can come back. So you see him.
And you'll be mad at me because I lied to you.
Right. It'll be too late for me to care.
Yeah.
So he gives.
I don't have to worry about asking for forgiveness or anything.
Yeah. He gives away the dog. Well, temporarily, but that's the idea. Is he's looking after, having the dog look after Flipper, I think. He takes his Mr. Robot jacket to the, I don't know what that is. It's not Salvation Army, but he donates it or puts it away. He gets rid of it.
I missed that.
Yeah, he dumps the jacket in like this area, because in weird ways it comes back at the end. I did not get how that came back. Like this car drives by, throws trash out, and part of the trash is Mr. Robot jacket, which I was like, that seems really coincidental, or was there something to that was supposed to? Oh yeah, you always get your jacket back when you. I don't know. Anyway, somehow that came back, and I may have missed that too. If you figured out why the jacket came back, put it down in the comments. That was a little odd, but he got rid of it in the idea of like, where I'm going, I won't need this anymore. Basically, he then goes to a drug dealer, and he buys all the pills, and the drug dealer gets all suspicious because he's buying the whole bag of morphine.
Yes,
and so he
which
basically
is
says,
overkill.
Yeah. So, but he basically says there's 3 reasons why anybody would buy a giant whole bag of morphine. 1, they're a snitch for a cop or a cop generally. Yeah. So, are you wearing a wire? No. 2, they want to resell the stuff themselves and go into business for themselves.
And compete with this guy.
And he's like, you don't look like you have a death wish. And then 3, you have a death wish. Oh, you do have a death wish. Okay. But for a different reason.
Yeah. Less complicated death wish.
So the drug dealer, intuitively, I guess as well, correctly assumes, you're buying this because you want to kill yourself. Well, enjoy. It doesn't, it's like, oh, okay, here you go. Thanks for the cash. All right. So he's done all these things to line up his suicide.
Right.
The last thing he wants to do is touch base with the families of Mobley and Trenton.
Yes.
Because he feels responsible for their deaths.
Yes, he should.
And so,
he recorded them.
So he goes to Mobley's brother, who just comes off as a total jerk.
Yes.
Horrible person, who's basically like...
completely willing to believe all the allegations against his brother.
Not just believe him, but then also like, and it's inconveniencing me.
Yes.
My career. Me blah, 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 blah. And so...
Well, I mean, if even if you're thinking about the sense of betrayal that you could feel, like if you believed it, then you would be like, why did they have to do this? Look at them. They're so selfish. They did this stuff and it affects me. I'm still alive and now I have to suffer. Yeah. No, I agree. You can it's
see
a different type of selfishness.
It's believable, yes. But it's also jerky. It's believable jerky. Let's put it that way. Yes, which is why when we get the end part there where Elliot returns to his crusader thing, that's his crusade, is I'm going to get a funeral for Mobley and I'm going to blackmail you to do it.
Sure.
He then goes to visit Trenton's family and discovers they're moving. They got their stuff out. They're like, this country has no place for us anymore. It's kind of a timely. I mean, I don't want to get too political here, blah blah blah. But politics does come into this show in some way.
Sure, yeah.
And the fact that we've got a situation here where Muslims get blamed.
Yes.
And we just had a situation where the president retweeted all these things from Britain First.
Yes.
And in the show, you've got the situation where the media has accepted this premise that, they were Iranian contacts and the Muslims are doing horrible things. Yep. And so this family is basically being under threat of violence.
Yes.
They are fleeing, basically. We don't know where they're going, if they're leaving the country, if they're leaving the city.
Right.
But they're moving.
Right.
They don't feel safe.
Correct.
And so Yeah, there's a little touching moment there where Elliot's talking to the dad, and the dad's like, thank you for saying something nice about my daughter.
Yeah, nice things about my
daughter. So that's it for Elliot, and he's like, all right, I'm going to go to Coney Island now. I'm going to sit here on the beach, and I'm going to take these drugs and go away.
Yes.
And Trenton's brother shows up on the beach.
Yes.
Now, this is where I think...
I don't. I don't have a problem with it if it was.
Okay, I think the brother is a hallucination. I think the brother takes the place of Mr. Robot. We don't see Mr. Robot this episode.
Correct.
It's not like he's like, oh, hi, Mr. Robot. No. And you too, brother.
No.
I think his name's Muhammad. We only see Muhammad.
Right.
Muhammad shows up on the beach. They're very careful to show there's no one else there.
Yeah.
The beach is empty, but for those two.
Yeah, well,
and he doesn't know how he got there.
There's lots of empty places.
He doesn't know how he got there or how to get back home.
True.
When they go to the movie theater, after he convinced him to go to see the movies,
that he followed him.
It is possible.
That is the next place he went.
But he went. Well, I think there was a. Anyway, okay, sure. But along the path, it would have taken him. It would have been a little tricky for a little kid to follow this guy. But okay, no, I'm saying it. It is possible that Muhammad is a real person. I've had this argument with you on other. I feel like Legion is coming all back again, where it's all in his mind. But it is in his mind a lot of times on this show. I have reason.
On the other show too.
That's true. I have reason to believe that it could be all in his mind. Okay, so I think he's created this construct to help talk him out of committing suicide. Because he shows up without unannounced. I don't know how I got here. When they go to the movie theater and they're sitting watching this movie that Elliot always wanted to see, it's one of my favorite movies, Back to the Future 2. It's on Back to the Future Day, which is the day that Marty's going to go back.
Right.
So it's October 21st, 2015.
That happened, yeah.
So it's a few weeks after the giant, all the 71 buildings blew up. It's like 3 weeks later. But so it's a movie he always wanted. He happens to go to the movie theater, which was a ritual for him with his dad.
Yes.
So he could see that his alter ego might convince him to do that.
Well, he always wanted to see it on that date.
Right, and whereas his alter ego didn't even know about the movie. It's just he wanted to go see The Martian. I'm saying his alter ego. Muhammad wanted to go see The Martian.
Yes, and he's like, it probably sucks.
It probably sucks. He's like, Rotten Tomatoes. They don't know what they're talking about.
Damn critics.
Yeah. So there's that, and then when he's sitting watching the movie, he turns and the seat next to him is empty. Which, if you remember, in the beginning of the show, when he's like, the movie's about to start, he's talking to nobody in the movie theater, and then he looks over, and the seat is empty.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, Muhammad in the middle of the movie has just decided, I'm going to go to a mosque. That's weird to me, and the fact that he could, by watching this woman take her shoes off, he's like, oh wait, he talked about taking his shoes off. I'll bet you he went to a mosque. I mean,
no, he mentioned the mosque earlier.
Right, because he took his shoes off in the mosque.
No, he mentioned let's go to the mosque.
Did he say let's go to the mosque?
They was talking about the mosque earlier. The kid was talking about the mosque.
I thought he was just talking about it in terms of that was a memory he had with Trenton. Okay, you could be right. I thought it was just that he was talking about memories of his life with his sister. He mentioned the mosque.
That's why he thought of the let's go to the mosque. Not just, where could I go? I know, I'll go. No.
It's just weird that he disappeared in the movie. Take me to the movies. Great, we're at the movies.
I know.
Now
I agree
I'm
that it's unusual that he should leave.
Okay.
And you could say that it's a rationalization that he was mad at him. And it's interesting if that is, in fact, in his imagination, that now Mr. Robot in the form of, I think it might be easier to believe if actually it's another character that is just him in terms of Mr. Robot.
I agree that it's not Mr. Robot.
Right.
Yeah, right. But it's another character.
It's another character in his mind.
Right.
It could be.
Because then the other thing is, obviously that the parents seem to have abandoned this kid. They were moving. We saw that it looked like they were putting stuff in boxes.
Yes, it did look
and so
like
it kind of seemed like they weren't ever going to come back.
Yep, it did seem like that.
And so did they just leave their kid? Probably not. So it feels like that's it's an alter ego.
They gave you a reason why they could have left. He said that his family someplace else. But,
there are two misdirects, if indeed it's an alter ego, that Ismail put in there. One is the green lollipop, when at the very end the kid gives him a green lollipop. It's like hey, I forgive you, or
yes.
Here, you're a good guy.
Yes.
Now you could though explain it away that he broke into that house and found it, maybe, or
sure.
he had it on him. The other misdirect is the movie theater concessions guy. When Elliot runs out, and he's like, "Did you see a kid walk by here?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, he just bailed on you," or something like that. Now, that guy could just say that about it. He could have just been talking about any kid. It doesn't necessarily mean, that kid that this guy saw leave the theater was Muhammad.
I don't know. It's like there weren't that many people in the theater, and so when a guy comes with a kid that clearly is not related to him, and then he comes in and is like, "Hey, did you see that kid that I was with?" "Oh yeah, I certainly don't see a lot of that in the course of a day. That kid that you were with bailed on you." I mean,
so that's the one point that was like, maybe the kid was real.
To me, it's like
until that moment, I was convinced the kid was not real. And then at that moment, I was like, "Oh, they're trying to throw in."
I feel like, yeah. I mean, if I feel like a typical way to sort of have it be ambiguous and not definite would be I'm not going to answer you. I mean, the kid wouldn't answer him, like, "Where's your parents?" or whatever,
We just kept throwing him off, right? He was like, "Oh, they're not around. Oh, they're in Connecticut."
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I feel like they've established. But maybe not, though. You could certainly make an argument that, I was going to say, they've established that these characters keep information in order to protect them. So, in order to protect the fact that I'm creating this character for you to come up with some reason to keep living, they might decide to create a elaborate enough, fantasy life that would, he doesn't challenge.
I'm going with the idea.
I mean, I'm certain that it's, but I feel like, I guess I could be convinced of that. But if it happened, it wouldn't be too crazy to believe.
Gotcha. You're saying, hey, I wouldn't be shocked if it turned out, but your thought is maybe it's more likely than not that it was a kid.
I feel like that, yeah.
I feel more likely than not that it wasn't a kid, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was like, "Oh no, yeah. That's her."
Yeah, I feel like it's more in the character of the show to actually have weird interactions with actual people.
Like, for instance, the ice cream guy. That was weird. That almost felt like a dream sequence. Like the Jewish ice cream guy who's playing War of the Worlds and happens to know every mosque near every playground and takes him to the exact right one. And like, whoa! All right. Thank you, helpful ice cream guy who plays War of the Worlds.
Yes.
Does he play? I wonder if he broadcasts War of the Worlds. Like, is that what he, instead of the bang, 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 bang.
I think he's probably just listening.
He's probably just listening.
Yes, that would be very.
Please trust me with your ice cream needs. War of the Worlds. We do also hear. I mean, it wasn't that big a surprise, but when the kid says, "Oh, where'd you grow up, Trenton?"
Yes.
So that we know Trenton is the reason she had the nickname Trenton is because she was born in Trenton.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of what I got out of that.
Interesting.
Some other things. What are some thoughts you had, sir, on reflections?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, just how desperate he is, I guess, and how he sort of reclaimed it. It certainly was nice to see him sort of manipulate the guide at the end. It's like, this dude, I got these drugs from one of your guys, and as tried to convince him, like, okay, now you should take care of your brother, otherwise I'll expose you.
Yeah, and then of course there was the powerful scene with Angela as well. So that's kind of he's now come to terms with the fact that he's no longer suicidal.
Yes.
In that moment, and he realizes that Angela might be. I think that's why he goes. He's worried about her.
Yeah.
Darlene has said, "Yeah, she's a vegetable." I forgot what she says, but basically, like, yeah, she's.
Yeah, and he says initially that he doesn't care, and now he does. And I like their little, little memories they were establishing. And
yeah,
the thing that she had said to make, it's like
their wishes.
Yes, but she said you would say this thing at the end, and it was that thing she said after Darlene had left her by herself to say everything's going to be all right. So it's that thing she said to make...
Good call. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that Elliot was like, oh, I'm glad you said that after all this. It's like you would think. It's like that... I don't know. I mean, it's nice in a way that it had meaning for him too, because it's sort of like they played this little game where they would fantasize that they could actually affect the world in the way that they would want, and then at the end you might think like, well, obviously it's going to happen now, or whatever. They really wished for it hard, but the whole point of it was now everything's going to be great, and she would say that, and it would make them feel better.
Well, also I love the point that he makes there too, which is, yeah, the wishes never came true, but that was okay. Like he said, I realized later it was actually the actual act of the wishing was important.
Yes.
That it wasn't that this stuff came true. It was like we gave ourselves this hope, this hopeful moment together.
Right.
And like the wishing.
Right. But the hair saying that, though, confirms the importance of it. It's to express the importance of it.
Yeah.
And now everything will be good because we've done this thing.
Right. So we get the feeling that she might be on the road to recovery after that. It seemed like they had a connection moment. They're on opposite sides of a door, so they don't really talk, they don't see each other.
Right.
But we do get the feeling that maybe that was a positive moment for her recovery, perhaps.
Yeah.
She probably needs a lot more therapy, but
yes.
Hopefully she'll get it.
Lot.
So we've got a rededicated Elliot. He's now got this idea from Trenton that there's a way to maybe undo the hack. I think that's definitely where this show is headed for the last few episodes. We've got 2 episodes left. So I think there's, this attempt to undo the hack. Oh, one thing, it's a small connection, but Back to the Future. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Knight Rider in the way of, hey, it's a guy in a car using technology to try to affect change.
Oh.
And so there's a guy in a car affecting change. I don't know, little
sure.
connection there.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets a really cool car with computers on it at some point. But Oh, I did like the cosplayers. A little comedy moment I thought too was that because it's this Back to the Future day and they're showing all the movies. You've got, he's sitting next to Doc Brown. It's like, can you hold my flux capacitor? I got to clean my glasses. So that was it was fun. Anyway, there was that interesting quality.
Oh yes.
And then everybody has their own version of what Back to the Future means.
Yes, that was
cool.
what it comes down to. This one or event or whatever that can change.
Yeah, it's like one mistake can change the world or something like that, or change the future. So
because I was like, no. No.
You were negating all of the others.
I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. Wait, he's like, no, you need to go back to the future to change the future.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Wait, what?
Can't we go to stop talking to each other? It's like, you don't know this kid. I'm talking to him. It's like the opposite of for me, of Woody Allen, or the Annie Hall.
Okay, in what way? What's the...
Well, waiting in the movie, and the people are like, wait, I'm going to go get, Marshall McLuhan, and he'll tell you that you're wrong. It's like, I have to listen to this person giving me this stupid opinion or whatever, and he doesn't know what he's talking about, and it wouldn't be nice to get somebody, and for me it was like, yes, it wouldn't be nice to go to get the screenwriter of Back to the Future 2 to be like, you don't know anything about what this movie's about. But you need to pull in the maker of the show to be like, what are you doing? Stop it.
Very nice.
He's trying to fool us.
Yes. So there is the kind of the voice of reason there. Like, no, here's actually this.
Yes.
I'm going to sum this up.
Yes.
One mistake.
Yeah, I feel like
boom.
They were all wrong.
I wonder if The Martian has any resonance as well. The fact that movie was chosen. It is a guy who's isolated, who feels despair. I believe Matt Damon feels suicidal even, in his loneliness in part of that.
Besides
moment.
the fact that it was out of that moment, yeah.
So a guy who feels isolated and suicidal finds a way to overcome.
Could be.
So maybe.
Yeah, they could have threw that in for extras, like at the other line for that.
Yeah, that's right. Wait. Let me tell you about what the Martian means. A suicidal guy finds life has meaning.
And doesn't take the drugs that he has.
So, yeah. Anyway, there you go.
Yes.
That was episode 8, Don't Delete Me. Again, obviously the deletion metaphor carried through that thing of like, hey, you have these files you want to delete. And there's always that moment right before you delete it. You're like, do I need these? No. And then you delete them. And then sometimes after you've deleted the file, you're like, oh, wait, I needed that file. Oh, God. And you realize you've made a horrible mistake. Yeah. Back to the Future. One mistake. Anyway.
Yeah. That was interesting when he wiped down. And Darlene noticed that he wiped down. That is, dismantled his computer and destroyed it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I just do that periodically to hide the fact that he was, erasing all evidence of himself. And then at the end, when he comes back home, he creates a new...
Yeah, he replaces the broken mirror that he punched. Yeah, his life is, right. He gets the dog back, obviously, and gets the jacket back. He's back. Yeah. He's, so anyway. Good stuff. Excellent show, as always. Very, very watchable. I'm excited to see... I'm excited to see how I assume there'll be a big punch for the final episode.
Presumably. I'd like the punch.
I am interested to see. I assume next week we're going to be reacquainted with the outside events again.
Yes.
What White Rose and folks are up to.
Yes.
So, yay for that. We'll be back then. Probably in the meantime, we will do a little Punisher recap. Yeah, sure. So look for that. But we will be back with Mr. Robot, episode 9, next week. Bye, everybody.